hope y'all can hear me well because I lost my voice a little bit, but I was having a conversation with a friend the other day. It was actually while I was on my trip in St. Martin's. And I was having a conversation with this friend, and he seemed very disturbed. He was, like pacing back and forth. He was deep in his thought, and, he said, Kelly, I really need to talk to you about something. So I looked at him, and I was like, okay, what do you need to talk to me about? And he was like, it's something that I really need to seek your advice on. I said, that's great. I'm just really craving this natural homemade caramel from this ice cream spot down the street. So can we go to the ice cream spot, get the ice cream, and then I'll be willing to give you this advice? To which he said, okay. Now, the ice cream shop was closed. So we ended up getting pasta, and then it ended up being a longer night than imagined. And then by the time we got home, I knocked out because I ate way more than I should have. And then the next morning, I was like, I'm so sorry that I forgot to be there for you to give you this advice. I am up early. Let me know when you're up and we can have this conversation. So he wakes up and he's ready to talk, and I'm ready to talk because, I fell asleep. And, he takes a long sigh as he sits down. He starts fiddling with his fingers. He looks down, and then he says, Kelly, I'm at this point in my career where I'm so successful in the world of videography and photography, and I'm doing so well, and I get to do all these great places. And he's also the videographer and photographer of the trip that we're currently on. So he's getting flown out to places. He's being booked. Companies want to reach out to him because he's teaching people how to leverage AI to edit videos, and just to enhance the videos, not to do it for him or them. But then he says, I'm at this crossroads where I just don't know if I should continue pursuing photography and videography, or if I should start getting into the world of interior design, because I really like decorating places. And I don't know if you've seen my house, but it's super nice, and I do it all. And I told him, I said, okay, here's what happens, and here are my three perspectives. And when I told him this, I realized that it was so valuable that I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't share it with you, because I think I see a lot of people that are at this point in their lives where they're at this crossroads and they don't know which road to take. So I want you to think of these three perspectives to kind of be able to cheat your success in whichever area you go down. The first one is what I call the unseen mountain, okay? So what happens with a lot of people is they find a lot of success in an area, okay? They find, let's say, for example, videography, photography, you've reached this pinnacle where a lot of people are celebrating you and a lot of people are acknowledging the fact that you're great and you're probably making good money. And then as they're climbing up the mountain and they've reached the first mountain peak, they start to look down and think, if I was to go on this other mountain, would I reach a higher peak? What happens is people have this mindset, right? And their mindset is, if I was to do something that most people wouldn't expect me to do, or something that maybe makes me happy, it's their hobby, would I find more success? And it's really the whole idea behind the grass is always greener on the other side. You get this shiny object syndrome. Because you've gone through the process of fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, and you finally made it somewhere. A lot of people think they're going to be in love with the destination when it's always the journey. When I was working my hardest and I was having the most success in my mental state and my discipline state, not financial, but mental and discipline, I was at my brokest, like I had no money. But the drive was so intense. And then when I started to get money, well, then the success became normal. And so I'm staying at 5-star restaurants, I'm staying at 5-star hotels, I'm traveling wherever I want, I'm on jets, I'm doing all these things. But it's like you get to the point where you had all this drive on the way to success, and then you got to the mountain peak. And many people, they see the summit, which is the highest point of a mountain, they see the summit, and instead of them going for the summit, they say, well, maybe I can make it to the summit if I restart and go a different route. Maybe that'll be an easier summit. And so they get comfortable with that mountain and they start to rest. When you start to rest, you lose that drive. That's why you see that a lot of people will be successful in something, but either they change, it lasts a moment, they're chasing the old high of when they had $100,000 years or $100,000 months or whatever it is, but they never get there because they got too comfortable, they got money, and they started living a lavish lifestyle instead of being in love with what it looks like to be a part of the process. Maybe that's you right now. But here's the thing. When you look at people, I'll give you 2 examples. If you look at a Mr. Beast, he's the most famous creator in the world. He's a YouTuber, the most famous YouTuber in history. And the reason that Mr. Beast was different is obviously he had a skill, right? He had a skill that many people didn't. And he took that skill of like, how do I create entertainment for people online that can be evergreen entertainment? And so he starts doing these challenges and stuff like that. Most people, when they got to 1 million subscribers, would have been comfortable. 5 million, very comfortable. 10 million, lose their drive. They go from posting every single day to posting every other day to posting once a week to posting once a month to posting once a year. But Mr. Beast, he took this scientific formula of like, how does the algorithm work? And he plugged that into his system. And because of that, he just keeps going. He's worth over $1 billion. His companies do hundreds of millions a year. And he's still going because he did get to that peak, but he realized it's easier for me to keep trying to make it to the summit from this peak than it is for me to restart to see if there's a better route that maybe I enjoy more, that maybe isn't as difficult. And that's the thing, is oftentimes people get into something they're good at but they don't enjoy it. And you could take it multiple ways. Sometimes I believe that you have to do the things you don't like to be successful at the things you do. Right? So I have to work hard. I have to travel. That sounds fun, but it's exhausting. I have to be on meetings. I have to do all these things. But what people see is like, oh, she's in American Express lounge right now. But I still gotta work. I'm in the lounge, but I'm filming this video. So that's the first one. A lot of people, they reach this comfortability and success and they think it's time for them to pivot to a hobby, but really they're chasing a high. You have to diagnose and identify, is it just the high you're chasing, or do you really need to move? On the other hand, when we talk about really needing to move, sometimes you feel this constant pull to adjust because God does want you to go in another direction, because He is making it apparent that, hey, it's your time to start moving, it's your time to start going a different route. And so because of that, you're going to keep feeling this pull of maybe this isn't for me. But I'll tell you something. Oftentimes when it's time for you to transition, the growth on this side of success, where you've already found good success, will slow down. Very rarely are you supposed to transition at the peak. And even if you do transition at the peak, it has to be done with strategy. Many people try to strong arm their way into change, and that's not a thing. It can't happen. I try to do it with trading. When I wanted to transition, I'm strong arming it, and the audience wasn't receiving it. So I said, okay, let's go back to giving the audience what matters to them. And then from there is when I started to see, okay, the growth is decreasing. Let's start pivoting. Let's start adjusting, because I understand where I'm supposed to be. A lot of times we run from the thing that we're supposed to be doing the most. So you have to ask yourself if that's you. But the last thing I'll tell you is, at the end of the day, you have to figure out which makes more sense for you. Does it make more sense for you to keep going down that road, or does it make more sense for you to transition? But deeper than that, you have to look deep into yourself and do an internal audit, a real deep internal audit of what is your why and motivation behind changing. Is it that you want some form of validation? Is it that you're chasing that high? Is it genuine? Because oftentimes when we know we're supposed to change, there isn't confusion. And many people will tell you, oh yeah, you'll be very confused. No, you'll know. It's kind of like when they say, how did you know you were supposed to marry that person? How did you know they were the one for you? You will know. So, again, the third thing, if you are going to transition, do it with strategy. Find a way to merge what you're already successful at and the thing that you want to do, and let them both grow. And whichever one you see the most growth and happiness, well, stick with it. But oftentimes when people just leave, it's kind of like you have a really good relationship and there's no arguments, so it's kind of boring. And you kind of want that fire and that honeymoon phase again, the like high energy. So people start to dislike their relationship. They'll end it, they'll go get with somebody else, and then deep down, they're regretting it. Because it's like, why was I doing that? I had something good. Why did I want to chase something else for the sake of what? So I ultimately told him, listen, those are your options. The third one, you're already good at videography and photography. That's a perfect complement to interior design. So take what you're good at here, plug it in over here, boom, interior design. So now the way that your interior design is showing up is based off the first skills that you have that complement each other. But anyways, just wanted to tell that story because I was thinking about it and I said, there's somebody out there that's probably contemplating the same things. And I've been there with trading in the trading world, and like, how do I push from trading to more financial education because I want to help more people. But there is a journey for everything. There's a time for everything. You cannot force it. You have to learn how to adapt it and follow ultimately what's for you, because that's where you'll find the most success. Anyways, thank you for listening. I gotta go catch this flight, and I hope that helped. Have a blessed one.